Yo, yo, thanks for tuning in to the Maniacal Pod Talk. I'm your host, Brian, Murph in the Streets. Mike, give me my theme music, man. Okay, for tuning in, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started on episode number 3 today. So again, I just want to say thank you for continuing to follow me on this journey, and we just going to keep it pushing. So today I decided to go down memory lane, if you will, a little bit. Give you kind of a background to how I got started in some certain areas. And so let's just do that. So I got a question down here on my notes written, and it says, where did I start and why did I start it that way? And so as I posed that question to myself, I looked and I said, when did I feel like I had the most influence? At what stage of my life did I feel like could really contribute to, the person that I am now and today? And so that led me to start around 1994. And when I think about 1994, I lived in Walnut Creek. A lot of people know I grew up on the north side of Columbus. Winding Hills, Walnut Creek is still all kind of the same neighborhood. And there were a lot of influential people in my life during that time, right? So I was in middle school around 1994, but the bigger influence came from high school. And to be exact, it's going to be Mifflin High School. So it's strange to think that, I went to Beechcroft, so you might ask yourself the question, okay, why is Murph saying that middle school was his most influential time, but in particular, Mifflin was his, a big reason behind some of the decisions that he made, right? And so the people from Walnut Creek is the reason why I made some of the decisions that I made. So we got some of the people from Walnut Creek and we got some of the people from Mifflin. And I wrote down some names, so I got to give some of these shout outs real quick. And I'm going to explain why these people were very influential. And a lot of these people are like family to me today. So we got my brother BJ. A lot of people know BJ. We got Mike Mixon. We got Kev Houston and his brother John. Rest in peace to Dave Guest. We got him on here. We got Reef Scales. We got Teron Walton. We got the Benberry brothers. And you can't really talk too much about Mifflin without mentioning people like Big Lewis Carter. We got Antoine Bell. We got Jason and Woody Roach. We got the Turners. Everybody know the Turner brothers on the basketball court. We got Kamal. We got Deco, Curtis Poole, Mike Young, Mike Smith, Steve Sensible. And, of course, we got Al Jarrett. And we know Al Jarrett, he's the basketball coach over at Mifflin right now. And I know I'm missing some people, but, like, when I think of these names, I think of what shaped, kind of my mindset back then in those early years. And, again, you might say you didn't really go to Mifflin. But this is why these people are, like, important to me and kind of shaped where I am today. When I think about that era of Mifflin, you got to understand, Mifflin really wasn't popping. It wasn't really anything going on right around that time. But the people that I named a second ago, those people kind of came together like the perfect storm. And essentially, they turned Mifflin from nothing into something almost overnight. When I think about some of the basketball games I was able to go to with my brother, because my brother was the one in high school at Mifflin at the time, but I went and participated in some of the things with him. I think about how crazy some of those basketball games were. I think about, in particular, my brother really was into football. And just the way that the football games were back then. You got people like Busy Bone back when Bone was at their height back then. Busy would always come, but he would always be like kind of standoffish to the side, kind of almost behind the bleachers, looking kind of crazy sometimes. But you couldn't miss it. The dude with the hair, light skin cat, you can't miss it. Don't let him talk. You know who he is. And so like the Mifflin football games were so crazy back then. And I was getting some of the facts from my brother just to make sure I repeat a lot of this stuff right. When my brother showed up as a freshman to Mifflin, their football team was 40 and oh no. 0 and 40. They were on a 40-game drought. These guys did not win a football game. 40 losses, 0 wins, right? And I never forget the first win that they got. Like I said, my brother and a lot of the other people that I named, they were freshmen. All of them were freshmen, but the majority of the people were freshmen. After that first win, and it was against Brookhaven. We all know Brookhaven, but Mifflin's first win out of all of that span of years was against Brookhaven. And I remember some of the older guys crying, walking off of the field because they were so excited. Like, we got these young, fresh guys coming in, and they had won their first game against Brookhaven. And, like, even after that, they went on to, like, the city championships and stuff like that. And, like, Mifflin's football program was, like, changed overnight. And so when I think about it, it's just the perfect storm of the first time I seen nothing turned into something, right? And so one of the things that was a part of the culture back then was Fridays before the game, a lot of the schools, a lot of the teams would go up to North Lamar. And, you know, I don't really want to call it like an official pep rally, but that's essentially what it was, because you had all the teams coming up there in their jerseys. When I think about like my era, like the early 2000s, when I got into high school finally, we didn't really do that as much as they did it back then. My brother was telling me today that even after the games, he said, man, we tore up 161 after the games because then they would hit the Pizza Hut and stuff like that. Of course, it was out too late for me, but I do remember the times that I went to, you know, Northland Mall for some of that, you know, pregame, you know, festivities, if you will. And it was just a sight to see. And so now I'm taking the influence of Walnut Creek, my community, the people that I mentioned. I'm taking the fact that Mifflin, I'm watching from my very own eyes. I didn't realize what I was looking at back then, but as I reminisce today, I think about what it meant to me, right? And so we got Mifflin, nothing into something, mixed with North Lamar, that experience. And like, so to kind of transition about North Lamar, it was where I could say I fell in love with fashion. And the reason that I could say I fell in love with fashion at North Lamar is because, so my mom and my sister, I used to go everywhere with them, right? And we would be at North Lamar, and they would hit every store. And North Lamar back then, for me as a kid, it was the only mall that I could go to and have as many like guy stores as they had female stores. And that's rare today. Like, you might go to Polaris right now, you might go to Easton right now. It's set up for women. If we honest, they got 1,000 stores they could go to. We got about 3 or 4. And that's just it. But when I think about what Northland Mall was, I didn't mind being there for such a long time because I had enough to do. You know, like I said, I was a kid. I hit the Disney store. I'm in the Disney store myself for 45 minutes looking at who knows what, but I'm in there. Hit the shoe store. It was just all kind of places to be. And I, as a kid, I tell my story about this all the time because my mom and my sister, they not going to kill me for saying this because it's true and we talk and laugh about it all the time, but they used to love Fredericks of Hollywood. Anybody that knew about North Lamar back then, you know, Fredericks of Hollywood was right next to Champs. And you know what kind of stuff they sold in there. And they would be in that store It felt like 2 or 3 hours, and the store wasn't that big. I'm like, God, how long can they stay at one store? But like I said, I was cool because I had enough to occupy me. And during those times, I was going into every store. I was feeling all the materials. I was looking at all the shoes, all the jeans, the hats, and everything like that. And so that is the time that I spent in Northland that kind of allowed me to, to fall in love with fashion at a young age. And so we're going to fast forward, let's say 12 years or so. And it's time for me to kind of think about some of the stuff that I want to do. Do I want to start my own business? And one thing about me is I'm naturally curious about everything. And it drives some people crazy because I want to know about everything. I want to learn how to do everything. And a lot of times I find myself dibbling and dabbling here and there. And I just don't know what I want to wrap my mind around next. And like, I just want to do everything. And so when I think about myself in a business sense, there are a lot of business things that I want to do. And let me see here. So in my notes, I want to say from okay, so when I decided when I finally settled in on what I was going to do, I took from the experience that I had from that 1994 to kind of the 2003. So from middle school for me, my time at Mifflin, my time at Northland Mall, and the time that I spent in high school. I took a lot of that experience to kind of even it into what I was eventually going to start as my first business. Because one of the things to if we're honest about what our capabilities are and what the situation we might find ourselves in at the time that we want to start a business, we can't always do the thing that we might want to do. And so for me, what it came down to was what is the thing that's going to be most effective, most cost effective for me. And at the time, I didn't have a lot of money. And I was actually being mentored by a guy for about 7 years on how to run a daycare business. But needless to say, I didn't have the type of money it takes to open up or run a daycare center. So it was like, man, I spent this time doing that and I can't do it yet. So what is it that I can do with my own money, the little resources that I have that I know that I could be successful in? And that is how Righteous Society was born. That was the first t-shirt brand company that I created. I came up with the name and I was just at the time going into Polaris. And if you know about Ohio, Ohio is crazy when it comes to local support. And during that time, these local businesses were popping up and they were allowing people to sell just the things that they create. They were essentially they were like consignment shops, and so they're still around now. But there was one in particular that I remember walking into, and I just seen all of these Ohio T-shirts, and I'm like, you know what? Like I gotta get a piece of that. I want some of that. Like I can do that. And so I'm like, I can do that and it won't cost me a ton of money. Did I know a lot about the t-shirt business? Absolutely not. Did I know how to start one? I got to doing my Googles and all of those types of things. So I knew kind of what I needed to do. But when I compared all of my goals and what was actually possible to do, the t-shirts was the thing that made the most sense because, like I say, it was the most cost-effective thing for the resources I had at the time. And so when I think about some of the conversations I had during that time starting it, I had a friend of mine that was really good in the graphic design department. I didn't know much about graphic design. I didn't know how to really design anything at that point. So I shared it with him and he was interested. He thought it was a really good idea, Righteous Society, that sounds great. He wanted to be a part of it. And the resources that he had, I knew was beneficial for me too. Like I was good with people and knowing how to push things. I don't mind getting out there hustling. And I knew when it came to the business aspect of what it takes to, grow the company, or not necessarily grow the company, but just get it started and what to do. I knew that he knew a lot about that. So it was really cool to think that that's kind of how it started. And so what I decided to do was pull from my life experiences and the influences of the people to kind of start off, where I'm going with the t-shirt company. let's see. So me and my friend, we got together and it made sense to work together, and then we was off. Um, and so I want to say everything started off great. The shirt business was good, the logo was good, the designs were good, and everything was happy. And as time went on, I want to say 6 or so months, Righteous Society was on the map. And it was immediately into the stores, which was a blessing because it's not easy to get into some of these places. But you got to know how to talk to people. You got to know how to network. You got to know how to get your point across. You got to know how to do these things. Essentially, like remember when I was talking in the last episode, you got to learn how to be an extrovert sometimes. You got to do that to get into some of these places. And so we got into these places, and I want to say maybe about 6 months in, we started to have some differences about timing and about what we wanted to see put out next, and it just started to kind of be some friction. And to make that long story short, there is one thing that I would suggest, and I'm pivoting here. We all know what people say about going into business with friends and family. Is it possible? Is it not possible? It can always be possible if, people are on the same page. So I wouldn't personally say don't do business with friends and don't do business with family. What's most important, if you decide to do that, is to have an operating agreement. And what an operating agreement is going to do for you is it's essentially going to put all the pieces in check just in case something goes left, right? So say this person is going to be in charge of design. This person is going to be in charge of sales. This person is going to be in charge of production. You put all of these things into an operating agreement because now you can say, if this person is supposed to be doing the sales and they don't do their part, the operating agreement says that this is what happens. And the interesting thing about that is when you're starting a business, everyone's happy, right? Everybody is celebrating. We're starting a business. Yeah, everybody hype. But the crazy part is you don't know what's going to go down. And so when everybody is hype and when everybody is on one accord is the perfect time to write your operating agreement, because in everybody's mind, trust me, I don't care who you are, in everybody's mind, you're not going to do anything wrong. You're going to be here 100% of the time. You're going to put forth 100% of the effort. You're going to execute on what you're supposed to execute on. And we know how it goes. Somebody always drops the ball eventually, and it's fine. Like, just have a conversation, get the person back involved to do what you need to do. But all the time, it don't work like that. So you have to have an operating agreement, because the things that a person will, let's say, put down in the agreement as a punishment. Okay, if I don't do this, then this happens, or you can strip me of my right to be in charge of production. Like, if I don't do production, then you can strip me of it and just give me a lesser role, right? A person will agree to that because in their mind, they don't intend on doing anything wrong or to jeopardize what their goal and their job is. And so you want to get people to agree to the punishment before it's time to lower the boom. You know what I mean? So if you could get somebody to agree to a punishment beforehand in the operating agreement, that is your best bet. So take that nugget. If you want to start a business with a friend, if you want to start a business with a family member, you can do it. It's completely fine. Just come together and create that operating agreement so you can outline all the negative things why everyone is happy. That's the key. You outline a negative why everyone is happy so that when a negative comes, it doesn't get ugly, because we know when everybody's disagreeing, it can get ugly real quick. And I was subject to some ugly things in what I would consider to be kind of like the fall or the downward spiral to what Righteous Society went through. We didn't have an operating agreement, and as I needed more time from this individual to help me out with certain things, the individual kind of was, going off into some of their own lane, which is respectful and fine. I didn't have a problem with it, but it started to kind of hinder the operation and, the way that things needed to get done. Had a conversation with the person and it just didn't go well. And I'm trying to think how much to give out of the situation because it's always two sides to every story. I pride myself in being very honest about any situation that I'm in. So yes, it is two sides to every story, but this is my podcast and I'm gonna tell my story how I want to tell it. So make a long story short, the conversation that I had with the person, it went left because this person felt like I disrespected him when I actually gave him the best offer that I could give. And one thing about me, if I'm dealing with someone on a business level, I'm always going to offer a person my absolute best right up front. That's just me. That's how I can sleep at night. I'm not the type of person to try to get over on people. But for me personally, if I'm dealing with somebody, I'm going to give you my best offer up front. And usually when I operate like that, if you look at it and analyze what I'm offering and proposing, like I'm putting myself on a back burner kind of. Like I'm usually taking kind of a hit because I want to make sure I'm upstanding and do what I need to do. And essentially the offer that I made this person was just to, maintain part ownership in the company and just become a silent partner so that I don't have to come and have a conversation with you every time I need something done. And unfortunately, what I felt like was a good offer was kind of disrespectful to him, which I still don't understand, still really don't care about it because it's so old. But that's just how I operate. If no matter what it is, whether it's business, friendship, or whatever, like if I come to you and I create the proposal, just look at it because it's probably beneficial more for you than it is for me. Because after you reject my best offer, then naturally it's going to be geared towards what's best for me in the long run after that. Anyway, so that was a lot of extra, but it's all kind of the reason why you need to have like that operating agreement. And that's why I kind of gave that information out there to you guys. And so that was kind of like the fall of the righteous society, but it was always kind of still lingering around, still kind of holding on, and still just going through what it needed to go through as a company. There were name changes, there were design changes, there were logos, and one of the things that I pride myself about when it comes to this design thing is I'm not a real big person that jumps on fads. And to me, that's important because I only like to make things that I feel like is going to last the test of time. I don't want to make something that's only going to be here for 3 weeks and popular for 3 weeks. So I've never been the type of person to just be like, man, put this out because somebody said it or put this out because this was cool and somebody did that. I only want to make classics. And that's what I pride myself on. So a lot of the designs that I made back then in 2015 are still really popular today. They're not always, super available because of the way that production is and the way that life is set up right now. But people still ask me about some of those same designs. So that was kind of like the fall of it. And one of the biggest things that I learned was to just go into a business venture with a friend or a family member with the operating agreement up front, because when it goes bad, it goes bad. And there's really no fixing it at that point. And so over the years of just kind of maintaining the business, I ended up just kind of starting to feel that I got more joy in helping other people. And my niece is such a wise young lady. She made a statement one time and she said that, I don't know where she got it from, but I'm going to just accredit it to her just because that's where I seen it. She says, I'm most happy when I'm helping others, something along those lines. And I resonate with that because during the time of just the t-shirt business just kind of maintaining, I found a lot of joy in answering a lot of other people's questions and helping them, get to where they needed to get to, and just being able to help somebody, because I really believe that if a person visualizes something in their mind and they create that thing and they produce it and put it out and one person buys it, I feel like that's the ultimate dub. I feel like that's a win. And so I found joy in helping other people feel that same thing. It's a certain type of high that you get, not, like obviously not like a drug high, but there's a feeling that you get when you see somebody wearing something that you have. And I used to see people wearing my shirts. I had a lot of people wearing these shirts. And I used to see people wearing them, and I would purposely say something to these people. They would have my shirt on, like, man, that's a nice shirt you got on. And like people's eyes would just light up and they would be so proud. And I would never tell them like I made that shirt, only unless they, had a conversation about how they got it or where they seen it. Or then we would kind of get into that. But just to be able to be in the mall, in the grocery store, the fair, anywhere, and you see somebody walking around in your creation and they not know that you did it, but then you give them a compliment and just make them feel good in the shirt that you produce, like that feeling is something that I never will ever forget. And I want to give more people that feeling. And so during the time of me just kind of maintaining, I had another young guy who actually worked in one of the stores that I was selling t-shirts in. His guy's name is Andrew, and he's the owner of Ohio Clothing. And when I tell you, having conversations with this guy in the store, because I would go in and check out my inventory and I would see him working in there, and he would just kind of be thinking and looking. And I'm like, man, what's going on? And he just, man, I just want to sell one shirt. I just want to sell one shirt. And I'm like, dude, sell the shirt. I talk to the people, see if you can put your shirt in here. I know you working in here, but just make you a design and see if they'll let you sell it. Man, when I tell you turning nothing into something, this guy, Andrew, look him up on Instagram. It's Ohio Clothing. When I say he put a makeshift operation together in his parents' basement and blew up almost what felt like overnight. Like the dude was he quit his job. The dude left school and like selling thousands of dollars worth of shirts because he put forth that effort from just, man, I want to sell one shirt. And so like me and him, we talk whenever we get a chance to. And it's just, to me, like I'm happy because I took part in his success. That's rare to find in people. A lot of times people, they might see somebody and they might have given somebody a helping hand, and then, they might get jealous. But for me, like, I'm happy and satisfied knowing I had a part in his success. So every time I see him doing something, I try to support when I can. And I'm just really pleased in the fact that I helped this guy. And so during that time, that became, a part of what I love to do. And I too, like what my niece quoted, I'm most happy when I'm helping other people. And so I want to get into like the consultation and how to start a business, whether it's t-shirts or anything else, because like I said, I love everything. And I can usually give some type of pointers or direction on most things. And so that's what I love to do, right? Let's see. I done went on a crazy rant. Let me find myself in these notes. Okay, so here we go. So during the time that I was kind of going through with my old partner with Righteous Society, kind of on the breakup side of it, like I was kind of told some things during that time. And I believe it was more so told just to maybe hurt feelings or just, out of anger. But I was kind of told in a roundabout way, like my ideas weren't any good. My designs weren't any good. You can't do this. Like you can't do it without me, kind of an attitude. And I remember there were some things that I wanted to produce, but this particular individual didn't want to design it for me because, like I said, I didn't know how to design on my own back then. But this person didn't want to design them simply because he didn't think they were good. And whether or not you think they're good or not, you need to design them because we're doing this together, right? And so I've always had this burning desire deep down to kind of produce some things that I seen on the inside that I wanted to produce. And some of these things just won't get out of my head. And I'm using this platform and the name Maniacal as a way because you know what maniacal means. It's your unwavering, your unyielding, just your hustle and your want to just want to make it and want to thrive and survive and just get by. It's the passion you have to just make it, right? And so I'm putting all of this stuff together. And that's why it's so important to me because through this platform and through this brand, I'm finally able to produce some of the pieces that I've always wanted to produce. And it's not just your regular cookie cutter. It's more so the way that I feel about it because I'm Ohio till I die. And it's always going to be Ohio. So what I'm creating right now is kind of like an Ohio street brand. And it's going to have Ohio accents embedded into like streetwear. And so that's kind of what you see me producing. And I just have this thing in me that's not going to lay to rest producing my own material and being happy, helping other people start until I get some of these items off of my chest. And so that's kind of what I'm gearing towards now. But the thing that was in my mind when I would always, have sketches of things that I wanted to see, it was always that question like, man, what if nobody is going to like what you're doing? What if nobody can appreciate what you appreciate about this item that that you've put out? And it makes me think about this video that I seen and we're going to get ready to play it here about Rick Rubin and something that he said just super resonated with me and my mindset, and that it kind of was able to knock me out of that mindset and that mode because it ain't about you. It's about me. It's about getting it off my chest. It's about producing what I like. So my brother Mike, can you please play that clip for the people?
Something I say in the book is that the audience comes last. And I believe that. I'm not making it for them. I'm making it for me. And it turns out that when you make something truly for yourself, you're doing the best thing you possibly can for the audience. So much of why, if you go to the movies, so many big movies just not good. It's because they're not being made by a person who cares about it. They're being made by people who are trying to make something that they think someone else is going to like. And that's not how art works. That's something else. It's not art. That's commerce. So if we're making art, it's almost like a diary entry. So could I be concerned that someone else might not like my diary entry? It doesn't make sense. It has nothing to do with them. My diary entry has nothing to do with anyone else. So everything we make as artists are essentially diary entries.
And so when you think about what you just heard, you understand that the art form of what you have in you is really the most important thing. Some people might disagree. Some people might agree. Like, it doesn't really matter. As the person that creates things, being that creative, you have things in you that you need to get off your chest. You have artwork, you have music, you have literary things, you have design things. You got to get it off as you see it and as you visualize it. And so these things that I'm going to produce coming forward are things that I visualized years ago just the fundamentals of it. It wasn't only until recently that I was given the idea of kind of designing this shirt the way that it's designed, um, not that long ago, and I'm super grateful for that. And I take from everything, I take from everybody, and I try to produce the best form of me that I can produce, right? And so I wanna show y'all this shirt. This shirt is years in the making, and it's super special to me. It's easy to make a t-shirt. It's easy to look for fabric. It's easy to think of a design. It's easy to find somebody to print it. But I want to express my feelings about this shirt. I had the idea for this shirt for probably 7 years, and I was just able to put it together today, or let's just say now. And so when you look at this, when you look at this shirt, what do you see? You see maniacal going across the front, around the back. You see maniacal going around the back. But what's special about this shirt, it got all of the accents that you want on it. It got the stress looks. You can see like in there, you can see the rivets in there. You can see that. One of the coolest things about it, and you probably can't see it, you just gonna have to feel it. You're gonna have to get you on to feel it. It got French terry on the inside. How many shirts you know that got French terry on the inside of the shirt? And with French terry, it's heavy. This shirt is literally a 10-ounce shirt. And it's just so special, man. And one of the things that I designed so long ago that I'm happy to just finally see is I always wanted to get to the point to where I made a brand, and eventually I was able to kind of even sell my own blanks. I want to sell a blank t-shirt to the people, and I'm going to do it one day. But my signature is this tag right here. And I'm a big Levi guy, right? I love Levi's. This tag right here says maniacal on there. This represents the chip on your shoulder when you're going through the hustle. This represents the attitude that you have when you trying to get it daily. This right here is the uniform of the guy that's just trying to hustle. And so, yeah, like I said, it's the chip on your shoulder, and that it's the lifestyle that you got to live, the maniacal way. And every shirt that I produce is going to have this on the shoulder. And, you know, I pay homage to Levi because I took this concept from the fact that Levi got the tag on the back pocket. And like I said, anybody that knows me, you know I'm a huge Levi guy, Converse guy. But this represents, you know, my love for fashion and wanting to create something brand new. You've never seen a label on the shoulder like that. It's the chip on the shoulder. And when I make them available, it's so special to me. It's not something that I even really want to mass produce. And so when I finally do put it out there, it's gonna be super limited. And it's not me trying to play a game or anything. Like, it's an expensive shirt to produce. I think I'm probably close to $25 in just the sample, just making it. But I'm telling you, it's so special. And this shirt encompasses everything that I've been through. All of my brain power, my strength, and my thought process. And I finally produced that thing that I'm most happy with. And this shirt, I'm going to be happy to die by because of the quality. And if these are the last things that I produced as I'm on my way out and getting into, you know, helping people more and do what they got to do, like, I'm happy with this product and some of the other things that I still have that I'm going to produce here eventually. And so one of the last things that I want to hit on is the experience of coming from where I come from, knowing the people that I know, and like the influences, the same people that I met or mentioned earlier, and going through the lifestyle and just seeing things and just learning how business works. I created a format. This is not something that that you'll see anywhere else, and I'm giving it to y'all for free. For free. And I want you to use this because I use this formula in everything that I do because as you know, when you're starting a business, it's real hard. And there are hurdles and there are bumps in the road that you will come up against that you need to understand what you need to do. And so I created this concept. And like I said, this is 100% me based on my experience and how I feel like can most help anybody, you or whoever you know, get ahead of some of these hurdles and these bumps in the road. So this diagram that I created is called Hustlenomics 101. I'm not crazy about the name, but this is the name that I came up when because I needed to have something that I could associate and stick in my mind. So we got Hustlenomics 101, and we go and put the pictures up for you also. And when you look at the overall picture right now, what you're looking at is the total diagram. And as you look at that overall picture, you can kind of see the tiers. You got 1, you got 3, and you got 2. Obviously, those tiers aren't in order, 1, 3, and 2. But as we go through these graphs really quick, you're going to see why they're numbered in order that the way that they are. So we're going to take a quick look at the purple. This is number 1, right? Okay. So as we look at this purple one, right, you got your close friends and family. So whenever you start a business, and whether it is a candle, whether it is a bracelet, a t-shirt, whatever kind of business you're doing, this is going to be your first sphere of influence, right? The close friends and family. It says, this is the easy stage. Here you will find your most loyal supporters, the early foot traffic. So if I'm honest about this first stage, you haven't even begun to do anything yet, because these are the people that's going to buy from you no matter what you just produced. You can't even count on this circle 9 times out of 10 to tell you the truth about what you're doing. So you got to just take this circle for what it is. It's your close friends and family. They going to support you no matter what. So we go into the blue, which is the third stage, right? And so this is the acquaintances and people that know of you. They know of you. They don't know you, but they done heard your name. They done seen you, you know, or whatever the case may be. And so I'm going to just read what it says. It says, don't focus on these people, right? The acquaintances. Don't focus on these people. Oftentimes, they're just watching and wondering if what you're doing is real or not. They won't support you until it's too late. Be okay with that because they'll be back. So be okay with the acquaintances because they're just watching. And oftentimes, these are the people that we want to sell to. These are the people that we want to reach because they kind of know me and they see I'm out here hustling. They see the grind. Like these people, you hoping that they just support. They're not going to support. They just not going to support because I don't even want to say they're haters. They're just, we going Deion Sanders. They don't believe, baby. They don't believe. And so it's okay. It's okay because like I said, be okay with that because they'll be back. So the acquaintances, let them go. The people that know of you, let them go. They are not the focus. And we're going to jump to number 2, the yellow, right? This is the outer circle love. After you are ready to move from circle 1, hit the streets and focus on circle 3. Yes, skip circle 2. This support is organic love. These people love what you're doing. They share, they like, and push it from a genuine place. Also, these are the people who put circle 2 in check. They put the squeeze on them. So here's where things get real for you. Remember what I said on the other circle, the blue circle. Don't worry about them because they'll be back. So the concept is to get your friends and family. They're going to be your early supporters, but you can't really count on learning anything from them. And once you sell your product to those friends and family, immediately jump to that outer circle, the people that don't know you. Focus on putting your product in front of people every day who have not seen it. The world is bigger than just our circle, the people that we know, our influence. Put your product in front of people that don't know you, because those are the people that's going to take a real honest look at what you're producing and what you're selling. And once you can get those people to buy into what you're doing and buy into your brand and believe your story and believe you and love your product, then all of a sudden, circle three, those acquaintances, those people who know of you that just sat back just wondering if what you was doing is real, the outer circle love put the squeeze on them jokers. And then all of a sudden they want to know you again. Then all of a sudden, oh, that's such and such, and they doing it. So then those people, they fall in line. And so if you can take this concept and even just screenshot it, I probably posted to social media so y'all can get the concept and use it and put it into practice. When you put something out, it's going to be easy to start because people close to you are going to buy it. Your acquaintances, they're not going to buy it. Immediately focus on the people who don't know you. Put it in front of people who haven't seen what you have to offer. Those people are going to support from a genuine place, and they're going to force the people who should have the acquaintances that just should have supported you just off GP. They're going to force those people to fall in line because now everybody want to know you when you pop in. Back then, they want me. Now you hot, they all on you. And so, like I said, I created this concept 100% based on the experiences that I've had and what I feel like is most effective in helping other people get past the mindset of, oh, they're haters and they don't want to support me. We just not going to focus on them. We going to skip past the ones that we feel like is hating on us, and we going to focus on the people that don't know us and put the squeeze on them around the back. So Hustlenomics 101. Take that for what it is. Live from that. Apply that. And do what you got to do. And just remember, as I'm getting ready to wrap up, remember that things happen when they're supposed to happen. You got to stay focused and you got to stay diligent executing the thing that's true to you. Stay true to yourself when you're creating out here. And there's a quote that I heard 50 say one time, and he kind of talks about, I'm going to mess it up, but I'm going to give it to you the best way that I can. He talks about there's always going to be a time that things don't happen when they're supposed to happen, and people aren't noticing the material and the work for what it is, and you know that the material and the work is good. He says that time that people are ignoring you and aren't acknowledging the material, he says that's the time that you develop skin thick enough to handle when it pops off. That's the time when people aren't paying attention and not supporting. Those are the times that you develop the skin that's thick enough to handle what's coming when you finally make it and you finally succeed. And so I hope that today's episode kind of tells you or gives you an insight to how I kind of got started in the first of many businesses that I was always interested in the influence, man. Shout out to Framingham. Shout out to Walnut Creek, Winding Hills, Mifflin High School, class of 97, 98. Huge influences in my life. It's always nice to bump into those people when I see them. And I don't know, they show me all kind of love and support. So take Hustlenomics 101 for what it is. Apply it to your life. I'll post it up. And that's going to go ahead and be a wrap for episode 3. And until next time, y'all, be maniacal. I'm out. Mike, play me my theme music, man.